Okay, well, thank you for coming out, for inviting us down here. We really enjoy this. I'd like to begin with a kind of a simple question, not simple question, but an interesting one. A year from now, you may be Michigan's next governor for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
A year ago, probably 95% of the people didn't know who you were. We think we know a lot about who you are now, learned a lot in the last year, but in a year, what are the things, if you are the next governor, what are the things that people will look back and say, wow, a year ago, we really totally misunderstood or didn't understand, or what are the biggest misconceptions about Rick Snyder that you see out there right now?
Well, I hope there aren't many. I mean, what I hope people say in 9 months, after 9 months in office, is I did what I said I was going to do. Mm-hmm. Put it in the simplest sense. So that's what this is all about. I'm trying to bring a new atmosphere. I'm not a career politician. So the way I try to work on things, and I think I've been open, in particular it shows up in the town halls, 60 mm-hmm. town halls with people asking questions, is I like to have an open dialogue and discussion about things. Let's put the facts on the table. Let's just lay out the facts. I always like to ask, are my facts right or wrong according to other people? And then after you do that, a lot of times there's a common sense answer sitting there. Okay. When you look at those facts. And my view is, instead of just arguing about why we're different, what the problems are, let's advance that common sense answer. Let's just get something done. And let's get on a positive path and creating a positive culture.
You don't hear anything out there that you just look at and go, wow, they don't really quite understand that about me? Or
not from the general public.
Okay.
I mean, I'll get that from kind of the Lansing establishment.
Sure.
And they still get quite often the mindset of saying, I'm a business person, so I don't understand. Mm-hmm. And my point to them is I'm not sure they've been out in the real world enough, not to be derogatory about, but they haven't been out there enough to understand that there are practices we've been doing for years about outcomes, results, measurements, accountability that we need to bring to Lansing. They like to say government's different than business, and it is in the sense that profit isn't a motive. But there very much should be a requirement in government that you have to show a positive return on investment to your citizens, to society.
Whether financial
or in terms of great service.
Yeah, whatever.
In terms of creating an environment for success, as opposed to the current model, which is taking billions of dollars and spending billions of dollars. I think that's a waste.
All right. Well, on that, two biggest pieces of your agenda, more or less, I think, would be the value for money budgeting.
Yes.
And the replacing the Michigan business tax. Mm-hmm. So let's take those in kind of that order. Value for money budgeting. Briefly explain how it works, how it's different, what it's going to change.
Yeah, for business people and most people, that's how we run our lives, in the business world and our personal life. Let's get away from the old Lansing model. And let me describe how I view Lansing first, if that's okay.
No, go ahead.
The way I perceive it is bureaucracy. How does the budget system work? It's a handful of people, handful of leadership people going behind closed doors with special interests coming in to argue about who wins or loses the marginal dollar. Mm-hmm. Then they come out with almost a take it or leave it proposal that says we're going to spend billions of dollars on all these programs and activities without real measurements. That doesn't make any sense. What value for money budgeting is about is creating a whole new system, again, following the business world model of outcome-based budgeting and saying we're going to have more openness, transparency, and visibility, more participation from the legislature and citizens in the front end of the process, actually do a multi-year budget, which would force a lot of issues on the table to get out of the short-term fixed mentality we have, and then focus in on what are the outcomes and results that we're going to achieve and prioritize based on that, then look at who the best service providers are in a very competitive, open fashion, get them on board, hold them accountable for measured results, and then do continuous improvement. That's the way it should be. So I believe there's a large opportunity to be fundamentally much more efficient. I call it smaller, faster, better, cheaper government.
Okay.
And it should apply not just at the state level, but we do need to get people on board in all jurisdictions with that same kind of mindset over time.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This is an approach that you go in on the front end saying, we've got X number of dollars to spend, and we're going to figure out what we want to do with those dollars, not kind of what we were doing now, where we say, this is what we spent last year, this is what we need to spend next year, and we need to find some revenue for it.
The old model is the one that just says we need to spend more, and that's a flawed model.
Okay. The Michigan business tax.
Now you're getting, that's an ugly topic. Well, never should have existed.
It's a related topic. You gotta plan to replace it. 6% flat corporate income tax. Tax cut for every business. The way you're working on it.
Absolutely.
And it'll be a $1.5 billion overall cut. Couple quick questions. That's a flat cut. You're not planning on making the revenue up from some other tax?
No, the idea is to reduce the tax burden on business. We need to go from a job killer environment to a job creation environment.
Okay.
And as you said, when you talk about the corporate income tax, is to take the double layer tax off of partnerships, S corporations, sole proprietorships, and there should be a 6% corporate income tax on regular corporations, C corporations.
Okay.
And it's so simple. And again, to make it simpler, federal taxable income times 6%, get a number, write a check, go run your business.
A system everybody's used to doing anyway at the one level.
Well, the way I want to make it even easier. I want to make it so literally you could do it on the back of a business card kind of thing.
Okay. That $1.5 billion that will come out of that, 5.5 to 6% of total state spending.
Yeah.
Not a big number for a business person or somebody that runs a household in Michigan. People like that have been taking cuts like that for sometimes year upon year, and even worse right now. It's a big number for Lansing, though.
Well, it's a big number, but that's why it has to go with value for money budgeting.
That's
on its own, it would have an awful time. But again, that's because it's a flawed model that we're working off of.
Okay.
So my view is they're hand in hand. We implement value for money budgeting. We get efficient with smaller, faster, better, cheaper government. And then you say, okay, how do we make this happen now in terms of bringing that tax burden down on people and businesses and create jobs? Because ultimately the goal is to grow the economy. I mean, you grow the economy, that actually creates more revenue that would come in through that path. But the idea there is if we don't need those money, let's make sure we keep that tax rate down or reduce other taxes on people.
Right.
That's the ultimate goal.